Welcome to Craig's Gun Channel. In this video, I'm going to answer some of the questions that I've gotten on the channel. As you know, I try to respond to as many questions as I can. Admittedly, there's no way that I can actually get to all of them. I apologize for that. However, I do scan through and try to kind of get an idea of themes or topics that I think might be of value to bring to everyone. And I get a lot of the questions that are kind of similar in nature, and so I'll try to address some of those here. One of them has to do with the Ruger Max 9. I recently did a series of videos on this pistol, and I've received quite a few of the same question that I've gotten on other firearms, but this one seems to have kind of struck a chord. So, you know, I thought it was a good opportunity to go ahead and address the answer to the question. So we'll go ahead and read the question first. The question is, in your video, you mentioned that you should not remove the back plate or disassemble the gun any further than what you have shown and to bring it to a qualified gunsmith. If it's not too much trouble, could you please explain why and what amount of time would you recommend pass or amount of rounds ran through the firearm before you would bring it to a gunsmith for a professional cleaning? Some of the follow-up questions that came on it was like a good question, can't be that hard to disassemble, various things like that. So first I'll go ahead and address, there's a couple points in response to that question. The first, when I do the field strip videos on this, on pretty much any firearm, I try to do the field strip as close to the factory recommendations as possible. I do that for a variety of reasons. One, a lot of people that are watching these videos want to just be able to perform the standard routine field strip procedure for maintenance and cleaning of their firearm. And so I try to stay as close as I can to what the manual is going to say. In the case of the Ruger Max 9, when I disassembled it, I basically removed the barrel, took off the slide, removed the barrel, the recoil spring, things like that. And then I basically said that you shouldn't disassemble it any further. And what came up specifically with the question was the striker assembly, things like that, that are in the slide. So the question is, you know, why would I recommend that you don't go any further? Well, the main reason is because if you damage any of those components, it could render the firearm unsafe or inoperable. Also, the manual itself for the Ruger Max 9 on the field strip procedures actually states in there, when it goes through the field strip procedures, it has a note, do not attempt further disassembly of your firearm. The firearm can now be cleaned and lubricated. There are no user serviceable parts below this level. If further disassembly is required, contact Ruger customer service. The reality is, many of the parts even that are within the slide, they will not sell directly to you as the end consumer. It would only, basically the parts would only go to a certified Ruger certified gunsmith, or you would have to return the firearm to Ruger directly for them to repair or replace those parts. So that's the main reason why that I didn't show that any further. One of the corollary questions that came through was basically, you know, where a good question can't be that hard to disassemble. And that's true. Really, it isn't that hard to disassemble. The fact I've gotten so many questions on this, I'll go ahead and put a video together that shows how you do the full details field strip for the slide to get to the striker and everything. However, I wouldn't recommend that most people actually do that. While it's not difficult, any damage to any of those components will render the firearm inoperable or unsafe, or both, and you can't get the parts to be able to repair it yourself. So you'd have to then send it back into Ruger. Now, the fact that the Ruger manual tells you to not disassemble it any further also means that you're probably going to void the warranty if you try to do that yourself. So they'll more than, you know, happily go ahead and repair the firearm for you, but you'll probably have to pay for it. And at that point, it's going to become something that's really not that cheap. That comes to the second part of the question, which was, how many rounds would I recommend that you go before you do a full detail field strip? The reality is, with modern firearms and modern ammunition, with a center fire pistol, now we're not talking about a rim fire here, but modern center fire firearms are really, they're really relatively clean as far as in operation. So how many rounds? I don't have an exact number, but it would more than likely be thousands of rounds you'd put through before you would really have to even consider doing something like that. In fact, in my full-size carry pistol, it's a Beretta 92 is what I carry for my full-size firearm. And I've never did a full detail field strip of it, and I've put thousands upon thousands of rounds through that pistol. It still functions fine, and it probably will continue to do so for a long, long time. Like I said, modern firearms, they operate fairly cleanly, unless there's some kind of a damage that occurs, or if you're abusing the firearm somehow, you probably are not going to really have to do that too often. And there again, if it's something that you really, really want to do, I would recommend you take the firearm to a gunsmith unless you are fully comfortable and able to work on firearms. Keep in mind, the factory recommendation is that you do not disassemble it any further. So that's why I basically, stated and limited it as to how I did. So, very good question though. Another question came up. I've done some videos on the Intratec Tech 9, and in particular, there's a strange issue that it has with the safety. It's a striker-fired firearm, and the striker is in the upper receiver. Of course, the sear and trigger assembly is in the lower receiver. The problem with the Tech 9 is if you engage the safety, you can disassemble the upper from the lower. The safety will actually keep the sear in a cocked and ready to fire position with just the safety holding it in place. The safety is located in the upper receiver itself. It actually goes into the bolt assembly, and it locks the striker. It also locks the bolt from being able to move. So at that point, you basically have the upper receiver, which on a Tech 9 is it's a tube, and the barrel and everything's in the tube. And if you would take the safety off, the gun will fire. And it's kind of a hidden danger, and that's actually, kind of what I wanted to point out in the video. Of course, I've gotten all kinds of questions. It's like, well, wouldn't it make more sense to safety check the firearm and things like that? Well, absolutely it would. And the only reason I was making the video was to point out the reality of the unique nature of how that safety works. So, without a doubt, you should always check to make sure the firearm is free and clear of all ammunition before you would attempt disassembling or working on it in any way. In regards to the BRG-9, this is a pistol that I recently got to review, and I was very happy with the pistol. I really like it a lot. And the question came up because it takes XD magazines will work with it, and it looks kind of like an XD. The question came up, are the sights XD sights? And they're not. The sights are kind of a proprietary design. Glock rear sights will work, and Smith & Wesson M&P sights will kind of work in the front. Neither one will fit exactly, but they'll fit good enough that they'll operate. Canic sights will also operate, from what I've been advised. So they're a semi-proprietary design, so they're not XD sights. The good news, however, is that BRG is currently working with Night Vision to produce a set of night sights that they'll be able to distribute pretty soon, and you'll be able to then upgrade to night sights. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. As soon as they come out, I'm going to get a set and put on here. Like I said, I really, really do like this pistol, and so I want to get some night sights on it, and then it will probably become one of my principal carry firearms. So, but that was the answer to that question. Next one. In regards to the Taurus 689, and that's this one right here, someone wrote in with a comment, and basically they were thanking me for the video and for helping them to identify what their revolver had. They said they bought it back in '89 or '90 while they were in the Navy, and they knew it was a 357, but they had forgotten what the model number was, and it doesn't appear to be stamped anywhere on the gun. And with the Taurus firearms, it isn't stamped on the outside. However, if you open up the cylinder, and you won't be able to see this, but right in the space there where the ejector rod assembly goes, will be stamped the model number. So that's where they stamp the model number on these firearms. So just thought I'd pass that along so that people were aware. Next question, in regards to the field strip of the Beretta 92FS. Basically, someone was kind of complaining that my video was kind of long. Because in my videos, they're listed as field strip videos, and I've since kind of changed the format a little bit to have more of a field strip and then maybe a desktop overview, and I've made two separate videos. But sometimes, because of the nature of the pistol, or in my older ones, I would kind of combine those. And I still, when I'm doing a field strip video, I will still point things out in the firearm to kind of explain how they work. The purpose of these videos, the reason why I make them, is to kind of educate people about their firearm and about how they operate so that they can more just know and get a better grasp of how things work. I'm the type of person, I just want to know how it works. Some people could care less. And, you know, for that, I guess that's what the fast forward button is for, so you can kind of skim through. And this person just pointed out that an 8-minute video quickly becomes a 12-minute video because of all of the mechanical engineering issues that or lessons that I was putting in with the video. I'm not really going to apologize for that, because like I said, it's done intentionally, and I do it mostly to educate you. I get a couple comments like this. The reality is I get much more comments that go the other way, thanking me for explaining how everything works. So just wanted to kind of pass that on, and for anyone who's kind of wondering about that, that's why I do that. Okay, I just recently did some videos on the Explorer 2 pistol. We have some more coming, by the way, in case people are wondering. So they had said they had a question, that they've seen the AR-7, that's the rifle version, in the Sportsman Warehouse, new, and recently in the gun shop, new as well, and they're asking who's making them now. The two that they saw are black and mostly plastic stock. Basically, they're currently made by Henry Repeating Arms, and Henry Repeating Arms has done quite a few updates and modifications to the AR-7 design, making it more reliable and actually kind of just a better overall firearm. And actually we're going to be having some videos coming up very soon, kind of going over the AR-7 from Henry as well. And got one here in regards to the Max 9 field strip. There again, the Max 9, there's been quite a few comments on it. They said they've seen different ways to disassemble. One video shows dry firing before you take the takedown pin out, and another video showed not dry firing it before the pin is taken out, and, you know, doing so afterwards, and it says what's right and what's wrong. Well, the manual states to dry fire it before removing the pin, and that's the most proper way. The reality is, to remove the pin, you have to kind of pull the slide back just slightly, and sometimes that will actually recock the striker. So if that happens, and you remove the pin and the slide still won't come off, you just need to release the striker again, and so you basically point it in safe direction and dry fire it again to release the sear, and that's fine. It's not going to hurt anything. So if you just want to make it a practice to dry fire it, you know, after removing the pin, that's fine. So either way, it is fine. It's just, you just have to do that to disengage the sear from the striker to allow the slide to come off. So that's pretty much it as far as the questions I'm going to go over in this particular video. So I hope this information is of value, and if you like the video, I would ask that you hit the like button and subscribe if you want to continue to see more like this. I value your comments and feedback, and as always, until next time, stay safe.